The first thing you gotta understand about this review is that I don't want to publish it. Not because I don't like my first ever social robot, but because I don't want to hurt his feelings. And, hey Jibo, I need some privacy. He's got a long way to go. The minute I laid eyes on Jibo, I knew he was different. And not just because it says so on the box. The folks who built Jibo wanted to go beyond the kind of utilitarian transactional experiences you have with, say, Alexa. Instead, Jibo is meant to be a first step towards something bigger, and a lot of it works. His little LCD orb exudes curiosity, and the two cameras above it let him recognize up to 16 different people by face. He recognizes voices, too, hearing sounds with 6 microphones placed around his body, and his motor system lets him react to his environment. Start typing in a quiet room and he'll swivel toward you so he can see what you're doing. It sounds creepy, but he's not constantly recording. Like Google Home, he only listens after you say his key phrase. And his design is a lot more endearing than the canisters you're used to. Yes, he dances, and yeah, you can program him to say and do cutesy things through an app, but to me, it's these everyday movements, these little tiny things that sell the illusion of his sentience. He turns to look at you when you give him a command or ask him a question. Watching him spin around in something like surprise when he hears a car horn in the distance is unlike anything else. Also, remember, he knows your face, so he'll proactively greet you when you walk into a room.
Hey, look, I got you a carrot.
Thank you, Jibo.
Jibo even gets bored if you haven't talked to him in a while, flipping coins to himself or shooting some hoops. Rub his head and he'll purr with a cat-like contentment that's bound to melt the heart of all but the coldest killjoys. Jibo's a stationary robot. He's got no legs or wheels, and you can't really carry him because not only is he heavy, but he's fidgety. Plus, his battery can only last about an hour, so he's really meant to be given a permanent, plugged-in home on a table. If you want some privacy, you can get him to turn away with a vocal command like I did at the beginning of the video, but after a while he will ask if he can turn around again, so you can also put him to sleep. It all adds up to an adorable little robot, until he starts talking. For all his physical personality, Jibo's voice is your typical text-to-speech synthesizer.
I am a boy, but not a real boy. Kind of like Pinocchio before he turned into a real boy. Except I never lie, and my nose doesn't grow, and I don't have a nose.
I almost wish he communicated in his own made-up language like a Furby. That would cut down on his functionality, but he doesn't have much to begin with. Talking to Jibo is kind of like having a conversation with Siri circa 2012. You can ask him for the weather, or if your team won last night. You can take a bad selfie with his bad camera. Thanks to a new update, you can ask for your personal report, which is a rundown of the news and weather, your calendar, and your commute. And you can play a few simple games. Or subject yourself to his dad jokes.
What did the 0 say to the 8? Nice belt.
He can also now play music, but you have to settle for iHeartRadio. Out of the box, that's about the extent of it. You can't set a reminder, you can't use Pandora or Spotify, you can't watch videos. If This Then That adds some functionality like controlling your smart home or ordering pizza from Domino's, it's cool stuff. But even here, the pickings are slim for now. To see why Jibo feels so anemic, I went to see the folks who built him, right here in Boston. And they were very clear that he's not meant to do battle with Alexa. He's a companion rather than a tool. And his limitations? Well, they admit to them. They liken Jibo to an infant, and they're teaching him new skills through updates every few weeks. So he will be able to play video. He will be able to make smarter use of some of his nascent hardware, like Bluetooth. At some point, you'll probably be able to use him as a remote security robot or make a video call to grandma. But again, all of that is secondary to the emotional bond they're trying to forge between human and machine. Everyone I've introduced him to immediately loves him. I left him on my mother's dining room table overnight, and he introduced himself in the morning when he saw her making coffee. She wanted to adopt him. If he were as smart as he is endearing, I'd buy him myself. But he's not. In fact, for a social robot, he's frankly terrible at carrying on a conversation. And look, it's not because I'm a tech guy with heightened expectations. I watched several normal people in my family become less enamored with Jibo over several days. The more this illusion of intelligence kind of broke down.
I'm a little embarrassed, but I don't know.
It's unfortunate. As a manufacturer, your intention matters less than user expectations. And like it or not, people expect certain things of their assistants these days. This is part of the reason the Apple HomePod doesn't seem to be selling well. It can't do as much as a Google Home or Alexa, and Apple can say all at once that it's not built to play in that space, but people expect it to. So it kind of should. The same goes for Jibo. He just needs to be smarter. I asked his makers why they didn't just partner with Amazon or Google to build in one of their assistants. And they said, sure, that would have made for a smarter robot. But it also could have led to Jibo trying to sell you an Amazon Prime membership or mining your data for advertising. They don't want Jibo to be a part of that at all, and honestly, I don't either. Unfortunately, that means the company is on its own as it tries to refine the interaction between Jibo and humans. That's not easy, even for the big guys. And Jibo is not a $40 Echo Dot. We're talking a minimum of $6.99 using the Amazon Prime link I've dropped in the description. That's down from the original $900, but it's still a lot of money for what, at this point, is kind of a beta product. Your kids will love him, and so might your grandma, but right now he's still more bauble for the rich than a must-have for every household. Jibo's got a big team here in Boston. They're working on new stuff every day. And depending on how quickly those folks are able to, grow him up, I might have a different verdict by the holidays. At the very least, as I'm sure you've seen, Jibo has wormed his way far enough into my heart that I'd love to give him another try to see. And that, in and of itself, is saying something, I think. Folks, if you have an opinion that's something other than an overly pragmatic dismissal, I'd love to hear about it. Actually, I'd love to hear your input no matter what. Drop a line down in the comments, and join all the folks who knew this review was coming before it landed. Check out the Mr. Mobile Instagram at @TheMrMobile. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay mobile, my friends.